Hi everyone, I'm Zenless, and this is Zenless Guy TV. Welcome back to another episode. Today we're going to be challenging SHIYU Defense. So for the first phase, we're going to be using our Yijuan team. And I do want to say that my beef with Yijuan is officially over. I finally decided to do a little bit of a tutorial on her gameplay and actually figure out how to properly use her. And surprisingly, I actually love her again. So now I'm really glad that I ended up getting Lucia because now I'm going to be able to build a more optimal team that can fully utilize her power. It took me a long time. I'm honestly not exactly sure why I put that off for so long, but I'm glad that yesterday I actually decided to take a look at her kit and really better understand and practice with her. So now I think from now on, anytime I have an Ether Week stage, I'm not going to be dreading it as much because now I know that I can confidently use her and hopefully get some good results out of it. In this stage here, this was before I actually practiced with her, so unfortunately the gameplay has not improved, but I'm pretty sure that the next time I have to tackle a stage using this team, the gameplay is going to be a lot more efficient and more thought out since I better understand the way her kit works. In this stage though, for whatever reason, I was really struggling to hit those defensive assists, which was kind of crazy because I've been doing it pretty consistently in other stages. But for whatever reason, I think maybe there might have been too much space in between me and the opponent, so I kept missing them. And for the Yichuan team that I'm going to be using, I'm switching out Pinyin Wu and Trigger as well, since now I'll be able to replace them with, I'm going to be using Pulchra as well as Lucia. I do not have Jufufu, and most likely I'm not going to be summoning for her just because there's some upcoming characters that I have my eyes on, and I'd rather not waste any of my pulls until I get those first. And it did take me 140 pulls to get both Lucia and Vivian, which were the two characters that I really wanted. Unfortunately, I wasn't able to get any of their Wenjins, so they're definitely not going to be built, or they're not going to be as strong as they could have been if I would have had them. So now I'm going to be moving on to the second phase. And this is using the good old Yanagi and Miyabi team. So on the first mobs, I don't really like to use Miyabi's hold basic because I feel like that's just such a waste. And this boss is actually the boss that we faced in the previous Deadly Assault, so it's going to be super easy and it's not really going to take a lot of time. My goal for this team is to make sure that I'm quickly swapping between Miyabi and Yanagi and trying to trigger as many disorders as possible. So that way I get full stacks on Miyabi and then use her and then hold basic to unleash her strongest attack. And then once again go right back in with Yanagi to try to trigger a couple more disorders. Kind of just repeat that process while throwing in a couple ults here and there. I really am trying to figure out what is the best way to kind of like add commentary and like narrate a bit of this. Personally, I'm not exactly sure how thrilled I feel about kind of just repeating what I'm doing and narrating what you already see. It has been a bit of a challenge to try to figure out what exactly I want to speak on and how I can make these videos less empty and less quiet. It is an ongoing challenge, and I'm sure that as I gain more experience, I will kind of figure out the right formula for these videos. But every time I sit down to make one, it does kind of bother me a little bit that I just don't exactly know what I can add to make it more entertaining. Definitely, I feel like a part of it would be the editing style and figuring out ways to make it a bit more fun and enjoyable. But I do struggle the most with the commentary aspect of it. Things I want to say or ways to add something to whatever we're watching on screen. I don't want it to just be a completely silent gameplay video. Although I'm not opposed to that, I personally don't feel like that is what I would like my channel to become. But regardless of that, since I'm just starting out, I definitely understand that I do have room to try things out, and failing is gonna be kind of what helps my channel grow and kind of pushes me in the right direction. So I'm just gonna keep trying and see what works. But anyway, beside that, I am on the 7th floor now, using my Evelyn team, one of my favorite teams to play. This time I did decide to swap out Yi and use Trigger instead. I'm still trying to get those defensive assists. Sometimes I get them, sometimes I don't. But I definitely do want to build more consistency with that. The boss is pretty much almost killed, so I think in 1 or 2 more chain attacks I'll be set. And I am also working on switching from character to character mid-attack. That way I can hopefully kind of get more damage in between characters. Alright, and now for the last phase of floor 7. So for this team, I decided to go with Alice, Yuzuha, and Miyabi. This stage is weak to physical and ice, and I honestly wasn't sure what other characters I would have used. Surprisingly, I didn't really need a support in this or any kind of like defensive help. I was able to clear without losing too much damage for any of my characters. There wasn't really too much of a game plan with this. It was just dish out as much damage as possible using Alice's hold basic as well as Miyabi's hold basic when they were both fully charged up. That was pretty much the only plan that I had, and I figured that Yuzuha would kind of support with Miyabi's anomaly build up rate, so that's one of the reasons why I had chosen her. This boss did have a lot of HP, so I feel like even though I was dishing out a ton of damage between my characters, this boss took longer than what it should have, just because of the high HP pool. Or maybe the team that I put together just wasn't that good. It could have been either one, really. Sometimes I realize that instead of using Alice's hold basic when her gauge is full, I don't notice that the gauge is full, so I end up using other attacks and wasting a bit of time and also damage, because instead of unleashing the hold basic, I'm using her EX special attack and wasting an opportunity to kind of refill the gauge after the fact. So I definitely have to work on that. But yeah, the match is officially over. I won with just a couple of seconds to spare. If I would have gone under the 5-minute mark, I would have landed myself in A rank. Anyway, thank you so much for watching.